Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Between You and I podcast. This is episode 27. I'm Carrie Ockery, and this is Ryan Lane, my cohort.
Hello.
Today, we have a great conversation. I think we are branching into life and health and who are you conversations, and I'm really excited about that. Because sharing stories and experiences, I think, just is really important. So today we have on the podcast Melissa Steussy, and I met her via Instagram. I like the work that she does. She is writing a book around her memoir of her recovery story and process and life. There's going to be a lot of things in it that I think are super valuable to share. I just don't think you can get enough of those stories because they're all kind of different. Anyways, we had this amazing long conversation, and it may be triggering for some folks. We talk about trauma, we talk about addiction, we talk about some life experiences. So buyer beware. If you love the conversation, please subscribe, and we would love to have you here enjoying doing the podcasting. So hope you enjoy. Well, welcome everybody to the Between You and I podcast. My name's Carrie Ockery, and my cohort is Ryan Lane.
Hello.
This is episode 27. And Ryan, I just have to laugh. Somebody said, you never say your name. So I am saying our names now.
That's good. I never thought
That's
about
what I'm doing
that.
now.
Yeah.
I have neither. And today I'm really excited. We have Melissa Steussy on, and I found Melissa through Instagram. And I like Instagram because I just feel like there's a lot of people who are doing cool things there, as opposed to Facebook, which is just a huger swath of everybody, right? And in Instagram, you can kind of see what people are up to, especially in the bio links. And so Melissa has a lot we're going to talk about today, but what initially attracted me, because I really wanted to talk to you about sobriety, addiction, things like that. And there's obviously going to be a lot of stuff you'll share, right, or unpack.
Sure.
And the first couple of things I really was that you write about too that stuck out for me were like staying sober in 2020, right?
Mm-hmm.
and triggers, because I find that really fascinating as well. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. So honored to be here.
It'll be really fun. Hey, so tell me some of your background, since we're just meeting, but do you want to give me some background on your story, but also anything else, anything and everything?
Okay. First of all, I'm dying to tell you how I met you. Because, so I believe it was 1994. I was at a show in Olympia, and I believe it was a college, and I saw you perform.
Oh, yeah.
I was spellbound. Like you, I'm a fangirl. So
that's so awesome.
Yes. And so, I had the Red Goodness CD I had bought home. There were other music of yours that I listened to, and I listened for years.
Oh.
And so some background on that is we had a mutual friend on Facebook, and I won't give away his name for anonymity purposes, but he's someone that I'd met in the program in Seattle. Mm-hmm. And I saw you comment on something of his, and I'm like, Carrie Ockery, I hadn't heard that name in a while, but I listened to you all the time. And so I friended you and just told you that I was a huge fan and wondered if you were playing any shows, and that I lived in Washington at the time. And so this was probably, 6 or 7 years ago. And then now I'm in Minnesota. And then I read in one of your bios that you lived in
totally
Minneapolis. So we have that common ground.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I grew up in Kent, Washington, home of Macklemore, if anyone didn't know.
Right on.
Sir Mix-a-Lot. I have a home near Auburn where I lived. So Kent, Auburn, Federal Way, South Seattle. I grew up, most of my story, the premise is, I tell it this way, that I My mom got pregnant from a guy, and he didn't want a baby. He gave her money for an abortion. She went to the abortion clinic and didn't follow through, luckily. And he was incarcerated. So he was sent to prison during her pregnancy for a drug charge. And she did it alone. And I've recently, so she's long since passed. She's passed about 13 years ago, but I have an aunt that's still alive. So in the process of writing a memoir, I've been asking so many questions, like who was with my mom, in the birthing room. And so my aunt was a critical player in my mom keeping me. So just tumultuous upbringing, lots of different boyfriends, abuse, drugs and alcohol in the home, low income apartment to low income apartment. I changed schools a lot. Just very unpredictable.
Yeah.
And so the hope in my story, so I went through all of that, is I had some grandparents who were alcoholic, but safe and warm to me and loved me. And so I had a reprieve from my home life, on the weekends or every once in a while I was able to go stay with them. And the book I'm writing is called Let Your Privates Breathe. Ooh. And what that's about is my grandma used to say, she'd put me in one of my grandpa's big white Fruit of the Loom t-shirts that went down past my knees because he was a bigger guy. And she'd say, don't wear your underwear to bed. Let your privates breathe. And she'd give me some water next to my bed and the ice was plinking and she'd tuck me in and I was in this warm, safe, quiet home. They were sleeping in the next room over and I felt loved and nurtured and safe. And so I call the memoir Let Your Privates Breathe because it's not just not wearing your underwear to bed, but it's so much more I've learned in just airing out those parts of ourselves that we're too scared to share with others because of shame.
Yep.
Shame. I felt so shameful of who I was, where I came from. I thought people could see how dirty I was, how I grew up, how embarrassed I was of my parents and, having to call the police as a young girl because I'm thinking, this boyfriend's going to kill my mom and I need to get out of here. So really traumatic events that I witnessed and struggled through. And really, so let's say I just celebrated 23 years of sobriety on Tuesday.
Woohoo!
Awesome.
Last Tuesday.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you. And even though I was sober, I wasn't okay. So I tried to be okay. And I tried to have, the right vehicle and the right home and the right clothes. But I was like a persona. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until, so we moved to Minnesota in 2017. I just needed to get away and kind of reinvent myself. Yeah. And it was really healing. And I'll just tell you a quick story. I just ended up, we got over there and we wanted to be closer to my husband's family. And I couldn't connect to my in-laws. Oh. I didn't know I had a problem with personal relationships because I was pretty closed off. I wasn't in many. Mm-hmm. And when they wanted to love me and let me in and be, come into our family, Christmas, Thanksgiving, I had this huge wall up of anxiety and I wanted them to push them away. Mm-hmm. And so, long story short, I just started looking at I'm like, I'm in recovery. I have got a great marriage. I've got these 2 kids. I've been sober so long. I've been on medication. I've tried therapy. I've done everything. What is wrong with me? I'm not okay. And I ended up, I'd exercise, I eat right, I changed my diet, everything, medication, supplements, doctor, everything. And I had never heard the word trauma. I'd never heard, in all my therapy, I talked about it. I've heard people do all kinds of therapy modalities, but the word trauma was never brought up. And so I went to the gym, I exercised a lot. I was bored in Minnesota. I didn't know what to do. And I found the book, Adult Children of Alcoholics. Mm-hmm. And I just sat and read and bawled and cried. And they said they said all the things that I'd been through. And I had just never recognized there were actual traits of children who grew up in alcoholic and drug addicted homes. And we carry these traits that make us afraid of authority figures, that make our emotions out of whack, make us feel insecure. We have a critical inner parent in our brain telling us we're not good enough and that we should do better. And I cried, and then I look it up and I'm like, God, is there a meeting near me? I'm in this super small town in Minnesota at this time. And there happened to be one right down the street, and it was starting on Thursday. And I showed up and I was like, willing to learn, surrendered. Like, I've tried everything. This is my last hope. I feel like this is the root of why I drank, why I used drugs, why I was sexually active at 12. Like, I had done everything. And they listened. And I heard similar stories. They told, stories of abuse they witnessed and feeling not good enough and not being loved and nurtured by their provider, their care, the person that was supposed to love them and protect them and nurture them. They abused them. And that causes a huge problem in children. So I don't know if you guys have heard about the adverse childhood experiences. So they call them the ACEs.
Oh, yes, I have. Okay.
So just a couple years ago, so now I work with students that have trauma and emotional disorders. And I went to a workshop for work, and it's about trauma. And I don't compare it to myself. I'm just wanting to learn to help my kids. And they talk about the ACEs, and there's a quiz. And I scored a 10 out of 10, which means, I had a father in prison, I was sexually abused, all the things that really, if you score a 3 out of 10, you're supposed to really struggle in life. I'm like, how am I here? I feel like, in a lot of ways, I'm a miracle that I've stayed sober this long.
Yeah. And
that I want to share my voice. And that's part of writing that book. For the last decade, I've been working on this book. But it was really through Elephant Journal. I had writing, but I'd never want the people I work with to know who I was. Or, I'm teaching people's children. They're not going to want a recovering alcoholic. So I have to be a secret all the time. And I talked to a friend. I said, I really want to share my writing, but I'm scared of what people will think. What will my kids, friends, moms think? I'm thinking of the soccer moms. I'm thinking of people I don't even know. I'm so worried that they're holding me back from sharing my writing and my truth and my voice and all the things I know I need to share. This was just last summer. And she says, you can't let those people hold you back. You have to just push through. And so I shared an article on Elephant Journal that I'd written about 2 years prior, and it was called Grateful to Be a Former Meth Addict, because a lot of my story involves meth. And people wouldn't know that about me now. In my work life, in the neighborhood, people wouldn't go, she's a meth addict, So it was a lot. I mean, I put myself out there, and I shared that article. It got published. I sat in my bed. I shared it on Facebook. I'm like, I'm going for it. And message after message just rolled in of, you're so strong. You're so brave. Thank you for sharing. I would have never known. Even my in-laws, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, they're from a small town. They're not going to understand this. But nothing but love and support. And I just bawled. It was like coming out of a metaphorical closet. Like, I just shed that facade of who I wanted people to think I was. And I came clean, and I just said, here I am. This is what I've been through. This is who I am now. And now, so since then, that was July 30th of this year, I've published over 70 articles on Elephant Journal.
Wow.
And I'm a writing machine.
That's great.
It's so therapeutic. And my fingers just go, and I just send those babies out. And you're right. They're a lot about triggers, emotional sobriety, adult children of alcoholics, sobriety, relationship stuff. Gosh, just you name it.
So much stuff. And now, now that you share your story with us too, there's just so much more.
Mhm.
It's one, my hat's off to you for being a teacher for, um, I don't know if it's TLC where you are, if it's a TLC room or kids.
Yeah. And so right now, I used to be a teacher in Washington, but right now the job I'm doing is a para, and I'm a para for the EBD. So it's emotional behavior disorders.
Okay. Well, and my hat's off to that. I did a short stint of emergency para work in Tacoma.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the times the work that is needed is in self-contained autism or a NEST or TLC or what you're talking about. And so I did a short stint, and this is elementary school level, working at this elementary school that had the in a TLC room. And it almost broke me. Like I just couldn't, they were like, hey, we're going to have a job open. Would you want to work here? And, I usually don't say no to much. I definitely don't say can't. Pretty much ever, you know what I mean? But in that room, I was like, I don't think I'll emotionally, because I'm pretty empathic. So I'm like, I don't think I'll emotionally be able to survive this or survive's a strong word, but handle it. Because it was so, it was a lot and sad and all sorts. And we're talking 5-year-olds. And the other thing,
and not just one 5-year-old. I mean, it's multiple with challenges. So that is hard. Yeah.
You're right. With a whole array of life experiences, traumatic life experiences they're having, and it's kids. So as an adult who's never worked with kids, like for folks who don't work with kids, you might be like, oh, kids, right? Like, or you have an idea of how you interact with a kid, or how a kid is back to you, or you don't, right? And so elementary school, you think, oh, you're funny, you're silly. But if you add kids who are affected by trauma, it's like there's so much more. There's the triggers, there's the things that then they do. And the thing I found hard was, like, as a para, you're not really given any information, any background. You're definitely not educated in it. So you can feel pretty helpless and slightly scared, So, I mean, in that class, I mean, I've seen 5-year-olds be sweet and kind and then turn around and call you everything an adult and throw chairs at you, spit at you, bite you, just all like that. Or kids you see at 6 that are growing up in real rough things, and they are already like wearing gold chains and punching their buddy on the playground. And it just, it would just tear my heart out, because elementary school to me also is like, there's still time.
Yeah.
There's still time. Maybe one word I say to you affects you the rest of your life. Like, I get really too emotionally attached to that. And so when they were asked me if I wanted to work there, I was like, I can't. I don't know. I need to get educated about this and that. Well, I need something to help me. Otherwise, I'm going to have to spend time in the woods every day. Some way to rejuvenate. So I really commend you. And
thank you. Yeah, they're just in survival mode. They think everyone's out to get them. But I'll tell you the benefit, like, it's my second year now, as we've built a trust and a rapport, and, they'll give me hugs. But if someone different and new comes in, they have to, start over. So it's been really rewarding.
And is it true too with kids, like when you experience trauma at that young age, like it changes your brain, like it shapes your brain. And so there's more specialized work that is really needed in order to provide, head them in a for themselves healthy direction.
And even it's crazy through the trainings that I've taken for my job, which is, I think this is meant to be, because I'm learning so much about my own childhood, is, there's that prefrontal cortex, and you make all your decisions. So I'm like, gosh, I'm impulsive. I spend a lot of money. I do all of these things and I don't think twice about it. And that part of your brain, it's not the back part of your brain that makes logical decisions. I run off this a lot. And when I'm triggered, what I learned is you can stop. This is what you would teach a child. Stop. Repeat to yourself, I am safe. Breathe. I am calm. And I've had to just do that with myself as an adult, and the same skills I would teach a student. And it has helped me so much. It's been such I never learned those social emotional skills as a child, obviously. Through junior high and high school, you just go to boys and smoking and sex and drugs and what's going to fill this hole?
Yeah.
And maybe, no one really sat down and said, you are a child. It is okay. You're going to be safe. Let me help you.
Yeah.
I think now it's more prevalent that we would intervene in my life. Someone had my life at school. I think I would notice and I would be able to intervene in some way. But back then I just felt like I kind of just got pushed through. I graduated, but I didn't learn anything. I was smoking weed during lunch and doing all the, drunk at school and doing all the things that weren't getting me, very far. But somehow I was pushed through and
yeah. Well, and I don't think people realize, if it's happening to them too, like the later effects of long-term enduring, on any level. Like it can play out, I think, in a lot of different ways. But if at a young age, the options you have that are probably pretty immediately in front of you, right? Like things immediately happening, you're reacting and enduring. You're, like you said, survival mode.
Yeah, and you're holding on.
Yeah, and your whole body is gauged to that. Year after year after year. Then, and trauma lives in the body, right? There's the book that's The Body Remembers.
Or then the body keeps the score. Yes.
Yes. And so I bet there's a lot of people who have, on a lot of different levels, have endured things. And then especially like your mid 30s or whatever, they're like, why am I having panic attacks? Why am I? And I'm like, because you reach a limit.
Yeah. And they say your body knows not to release it to you or bring it up to you until you're ready. And so I don't know if that was something that happened for me where I just was ready and I maybe couldn't have looked at this or faced this, 15, 20 years ago. So somehow your body is smart enough to know that they're ready to bring something up and out. And I'll tell you, when I first learned about being an adult child of alcoholic and started looking at the trauma and how it affected me, I think for a long time I looked at it, disassociation is a common trait of children that grow up in abuse. And so you look at it, but it's a story that this happened, but I couldn't put that this happened to me. This happened to the little girl that lived inside of me. And then when I started to go, yeah, that was you. And are you okay? And kind of talk to that wounded child and learn about my inner child and all of that, where it was like, oh, and so the crying and visceral, deep, deep grief for my childhood and what I went through and why did it have to be that way? And why didn't my dad want me? And why was my mom such an alcoholic? All of those things, just facing it, it just kind of, hit me. Yeah. And I think I probably cried more that year. I'd wake up in the night just sobbing. I'd be at yoga laying on my mat, just sobbing and driving and sobbing. But it was coming up and out and I'd shoved it and shoved it and shoved it. And it wouldn't stay down. It wouldn't stay down. I was, probably in a safe place because I was out of Washington. I was not distracting myself as much. I was in a small town. I didn't know anyone. I was time to look at it. Yeah. It was time to face it. And I felt so much healing that year that I think I think that's why I'm able to share my writing now from this place. Oh, yeah. And I couldn't have finished a memoir still stuck in the muck. I had to walk through all of that, get to the other side. And now I have a voice for healing and sharing. And this is how I've stayed sober. And this is how I've overcome childhood abuse and trauma. But it took that pain. Yeah. That real, just gut wrenching pain. Yeah. To feel like I finally have a story to share.
Yeah. And if you don't fight, if you do fight it, it seems like your body will make you physically sick too. So I've seen that in people where if you just keep pushing it down, your body's like, no, you're going to get cold.
Do you think that's where disease can come from? What you were saying, Carrie, about just holding on, our adrenal glands give out. And then here we are with stomach issues and hernias and tumors and, heart disease. And so just really looking at the internal.
I totally believe that. Yeah, I fully believe that. And everybody probably has some level of trauma, because the spectrum of trauma is big, right? So someone thinks, well, I didn't have those things happen to me, so I must be fine. I'm like, well, I mean, you could bullying, you could just have had bullying. You could have endured a group of friends or a scene that was not you, and you didn't, there's lots of ways we as humans endure. And
all of us, yes.
All of us, right? I've told this story about when I started having panic attacks. I feel like it was this is going to sound dramatic, but it's like just post-release, after doing years of music in the music industry and all of that, or my 20s, you name it, I don't know. At some point, I think my body, and definitely adrenal glands, and this is pretty common for women too, heading into their late 30s, 40s, where your adrenal glands start to burn out, where I just hit a wall. And I hadn't stopped, or was ready to stop and be like, hey, how's it been going? Like, how you doing? Because when, you're in something and it's going fast and something new is happening all the time and you're reacting and enduring, and I relate it to being a woman, because there's just particular things that happen to you, or the set, or doing creative things like that, or getting up in front of people there, you have to kind of react quick, right? And in a lot of ways, not only to just, I guess, handle the situation, but keep yourself safe when you don't even have the answer, what your true answer to this might be, because it's happening fast. Anyways, lots of buildup of that, I think, started to unravel, and I started to have chronic panic. And yeah, it took years. I'm probably still, we're always growing, but still unraveling things. But I have a question for you. Sure. When you were ready, and you really were ready for what feels to me like ground zero, like, okay, I'm ready to sit here and really allow ground zero to show up, and I'm going to look, and I can look at all of it. There's just like a ready opening. At some point in that process, did you start to feel like, because it could seem absurd to other people, but like, did you have that moment where you were like, oh my God, this is such a good thing? Like, you're a little bit on the other side. Like, if you were going over the side, sort of a little bit of like, wow, doing this kind of thing, which before you might have thought would have been terrifying and out of control, like, oh, this is it. This is the good thing. More. I just want to cry more. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, okay. So for years and years, I thought, if this dam breaks, I'm never coming out. I'm going to be in a psychiatric ward. I'm going to drink. I'm going to commit suicide. Those thoughts were very real for me. And so I just kept back. I didn't want to dive into it. I didn't even want to open the tap like a teeny bit, because I thought I would be gone.
Yeah.
I just didn't think I could ever deal with any of it. And so when that dam did break, and I don't know, I know writing was so therapeutic. And I just remember waking up in the night and having a journal next to my bed, just an old cheap, notepad and a pencil. And it was dark, and I would just write and cry. And it wasn't legible. It was scribbles, because I was half asleep, 2 a.m, 3 a.m. But I felt like it was an opening. It was an awakening. It was like a surrender. It felt very spiritual. It felt just like what you're saying, like, yes, this is the breakthrough that I need to have. This is the time. It hurts, but I know I'm going to come out on the other side. I didn't always know it. Grief is so powerful.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And, so I was pregnant with my boy, who's 11 now, when I got a call that my mom was found homeless in a hotel room, dead, of a overdose, like horrible. I kind of waited for that call my whole life, thinking, when's the day that she's going to be found dead? Because it's just a matter of time. And she was 55. And I was pregnant, 7 months pregnant. I was, this is a funny story, but I was in a new relationship. The first time we had sex, I got pregnant. And so we've been together 12 years, but we have this 11-year-old boy, and we've been together 12 years. And so it turned out to be a great story, but it was, it was a surprise. And so I'm moving in with this new boyfriend. I'm having a baby. I have another son from my previous marriage. My mom dies. I'm in college. Like, what else? I work in 2 jobs, all of the things.
Oh my God.
Culminate.
Do it all at once.
A lot.
Yeah. And I, so in a new relationship, first of all, pregnant, he got to know all of me in 12 months and saw everything. Hormones, meeting his parents, pregnant, flying to Minnesota and meeting his parents 5 months pregnant. And they're like, we didn't even know you were dating anyone. Here I am. Nice to meet you. They're uber religious, like been married 50 years. Oh my gosh. So,
man,
it just all culminated and she passed. And I didn't deal with that grief of my mom's passing because I'd say, well, that's okay. We weren't that close. But your mother, it took years for me to say, like, we weren't that close, but I still grieve the mother I wish I could have had.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I read a lot of articles about that mother wound. It's a real thing. It's deep.
Yes.
And so, I still grieve, when her birthday rolls around and thank God, why couldn't her life have been different? She was in so much pain and that just permeated to, me and her, throughout her life. She had a dark life and didn't have a happy life. And I wish I could have gone back and think, well, what mental illness was she suffering from? What medication or therapy or what could she, but drinking was the antidote. And drug use and smoking and men and all the things she did to cope with her feelings of unworthiness and her own shame and her own, so that cycle from generation to generation to generation. And I just felt like when I was 21, I got the DUI, I got court ordered to AA. I'm like, thank you. This has to stop with me because I'm doing everything I swear I would never do. I'm basically my mother, who I never wanted to be.
Right.
And so that DUI, was a gift. Right. And I didn't see it as one then. So I go to AA meetings, I'm court ordered, and I see a guy that I used to party with, and we start hanging out, which means having sex. And I got pregnant with 8 months of sobriety. And so and then we get married, pregnant, thinking, let's do the right thing. We're sober. Yeah. Let's get married. Even though I'm as big as a house, 200 pounds, 3 weeks before my due date, I'd never been pregnant. I think, oh yeah, I can get married in that's a story in itself. It's in my book.
I get that. Yeah.
It's hilarious. Wedding, swollen ankles, just huge. And so we get married, we have this baby. And so my former husband and I, we both have been sober 23 years. And we have this 21-year-old son who's never seen us drink. Yeah. And he's like my best friend, like a brother, because we came through similar upbringings. He was a heroin addict, we've been through it all. We find each other in AA. We have this baby. We sober, our life revolves around sobriety. And we only stayed married till our son was 7. But we've kept this relationship, this whole time. Cool. So it's a family, that we created that's different than what we came from. So I think our son just thinks we're weird, but because he's in college and he parties and he's just like,
well, they'll think that no matter what. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's amazing to break a cycle. I mean, my hat's off to both of you. Just breaking a lineage, that's a huge thing to do. And I often think maybe that's what you came to do. You know what I mean? Break a cycle, tell the story. I think people have purpose, even if it's just what they need to learn, not necessarily that they're producing something out in the world, but their own lessons. Right. Yeah. I think that's really powerful. It's interesting. I was trying to look, you mentioned your son probably doesn't know you guys any different than sober. And I just got done reading a book. I want to say it's Erin Carr. I'm trying to look it up. I'm sorry, but she has, oh God, I'm going to get her name wrong. Anyways, it's her memoir about, being a heroin addict. And she starts off the book by saying she has this son who's about 11, I think 11 or 12, going comes to her and asks her like, Mom, why do people do drugs? Because they're starting to have the talks in school or whatever. And her son has no idea about this whole history. And so she starts the book off like, how do I give my son the health, like a shorter, healthier answer, but I didn't, at that point, I have never shared with them like that me, you know what I mean? And it's a long history. And for you or her or anybody, right? Like just being an adult with a kid, you're like, I've had a life. Like, I am a person who's led a life.
It though, but yeah.
No, they don't. But just to also know all the places that you've walked, right? And then, it's been your journey and you've worked with it. How do you share that forward to somebody at that age too? Because I'm like, man, I really don't want to break innocence. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't want to tell you because I don't want to bring darkness into your life. But at the same time, I maybe it would be a good thing and you'd know me more. That's tough. I mean, how have you shared?
Oh, it's so funny because in writing the book, he didn't know that I had an affair on his father when he was 3. And I went to an inpatient treatment facility for 21 days while he was 3. I was sober, but I was suicidal. And so how do you tell, he's 21 now.
Yeah.
And so just a month ago, I said, can you call me? I need to talk to you. And there's a few things we need to talk about. And I said, I don't know that you remember this, but I remembered, when he was 3, he was staying with a friend of mine and that they were in the grocery store and that they were shopping along. And all of a sudden my baby at the time, 3-year-old baby says, my mom's on vacation, and was bawling because we'd said I was going on a vacation for 3 weeks.
Yes. Yeah.
It's hard on a 3-year-old that's used to having his mom every day. And so I asked him if he remembered, that. And he said, Mom, I was 3. I don't remember. It's fine. Like, let it go. He's very cool. I said, and I just, I'm writing about that. And I'm writing about, I had an affair on Dad. And I just need to tell you, that. And we just never thought to tell you. And that was part of the reason we got divorced. And I'm like, do you remember being with me at this gentleman's house? Because he came with me all the time to this gentleman's house. And he said he has no recollection. And so I brought it out in the open, for my own peace of mind. I didn't want him to hear about it or read it in a book, or not that he would read my book, but just I needed.
Oh, he will.
So then my 11-year-old, I was worried about that too, because I'm writing some vulnerable things, but he will sometimes comment on my elephant journal articles, and he will just read. I think he skims and he'll just write like great article, something like that. So he cares less than I thought he would. He knows me now. He knows, I'm with him. He knows me and his dad don't drink. He knows I have a history. He knows I had a difficult childhood. And we're really open, and we actually talk about it a lot. So my hope, my prayer is that he will learn from my experiences, and that it's not me sharing like, I was sexually active at a young age. I drank and used drugs and smoked, and he's a really health conscious. So I feel like he's already saying like, well, Mom, I will never try drugs. I will never try alcohol. And I say, well, that's what I thought too. But, let's talk about peer pressure. Let's talk about having a plan for when someone offers you something. What do you say? And what are your reasons why? Because, we all know that in junior high and high school, when it's that first time, like, oh, here, try a beer, here, try some pot. I didn't have a reason to say no. I just, okay,
Right. Well, and trauma aside, you sort of feel like you're immortal, from that age into your 20s, right? You just don't think about those things.
Right. That's the biggest risk. Yeah. You're just so tough at that age.
So tough. And I didn't have identity. I was searching so hard. If I'm like her, will I be okay? If I'm like him, will I be okay? So all the things I saw other people doing and wearing and acting like, I emulated. So I was like this chameleon, just trying on different ways to be, thinking. It was like I was empty inside, and I didn't really learn the skills for living that I should have. morals, values, ethics, anything. It was, I'd start stealing at a young age. I just didn't have that moral compass.
Yeah.
And so I see girls drinking and I want to, girls are having sex and I want to do that too. Like, I want to be the tough party girl.
Right.
That became my persona. And it's like, I grew up in a home where drinking and drugs was great. That was what you did. And so my parents accepted me at that point. It's like, can I have a beer? Can I have cigarettes? Can I smoke pot with you guys? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Now my parents love me too. This is great. Right. And now I'm part of the, I'm part of the in crowd, or so I thought, but it causes so much destruction.
I mean, just the desire to belong and be loved.
That's the root of it.
Yeah.
And it's going both ways with your parents. Like, they want you to love them. So if they're addicts, they're like, yeah, you should. That seems normal. Because like, that's what I do. And I want you to be part of my life. And it's very
totally
that unhealthiness.
Yeah.
Oh God. I just remember, so I got the DUI and I talked to my mom and I'm like, Mom, I got this DUI. I don't know if I'm an alcoholic, but they need me to go to treatment for 2 years. And this is what I have to do to get out of it. And Melissa, you're not an alcoholic. If you were an alcoholic, I'd be able to tell you. And everyone drinks. Everyone's depressed, Melissa. That's how people live.
Right.
And so I never saw really another way, until I went to AA. And at AA, everyone's telling my story, Yeah. And I'm like, okay, now I'm home. Like, now I hear these stories. I resonate. I don't have to be ashamed to talk about the feelings that I've had inside.
Yeah.
Or what I've been trying to cover up with alcohol.
Do you think, did it feel hard too to be, here you are a kid, but obviously like a wise soul in there somewhere who is, at that young age going, you probably were already going, this doesn't seem right. But your parent, who should be playing the role of wisdom, right, says, nah, it's fine. And here's all the reasons it's fine. That's a hard place to be in too, because you want the adult to be the adult and to teach, and you get to be the kid. But when you're the kid who has more knowledge than your parent, like, that's a weird space to be in as well. It's not like you would think like, oh, great, at least I knew the answer. I'm like, no, but that's not a secure feeling.
No.
Like, wait, I'm not getting parenting that I deserve or should be having. This is another, like, you're on your own, kid,
Yeah. And that's when you kind of have to branch off from those dysfunctional people that you still have a glimmer of hope that they'll eventually, love you enough or be there or be proud of you. A lot of times I never doubted that my mom was proud of me and that she loved me. She definitely didn't know how to show it. So part of my story is I met my father at 15 when he got out of prison. And so we meet, and my mom wasn't okay with it. So an aunt brings me to where he was working. We meet, and he's this tan guy. He's got a lot of muscles because he lifted weights in prison. Tank top, kind of a gigolo, I want to say, long mullet. He thought he was God's 50 women for sure.
Oh my. Yeah.
And I meet him, and how nervous I am to meet my father, my biological father that I'd wanted to meet my whole life. I had no idea about him, just that he, had given me up and didn't want a kid. So I carried that around, that kind of like, well, he didn't want me. Yeah. So what's wrong with me? I'm defective. He didn't want my mom. So what's wrong with my mom? She's defective. And I think that dug a hole in her too, which, acted out in her addiction. But I meet him, and it took me hours to get ready for this meeting with my father. Like, I curled my hair and tried to look good enough. And am I too fat? And all of the things that go through your mind when you're 15. He's not going to like me. My teeth are crooked. My mom couldn't afford braces. Like, all of those insecurities just came out. And I meet him and we talk, and he gives me his card after we leave, and it has his phone number on it. And I get to my friend's house and I'm jumping up and down. I met my dad. I love him. I met my dad. I love him. I'm just like, best day of my life. And I'm like, can I call him? Can I call him now? Like, I wanted to call my dad. Like, it was and so I call him and we talk on the phone for a couple hours, and then we make plans for the weekend. And he's a Harley guy, and he comes and picks me up on his bike, and I go to his house, and he has a wife, and, I get to know my dad, but we're on our way to his house, and he says, "What do you like to drink?" And I'm like, "Beer." I'm 15.
Right.
He buys me a 6-pack of beer, plops it in my lap at the convenience store. We go to his house. I'm cracking beers while we're sitting on a lazy boy together, and he's showing me pictures of, him when he was a kid, introducing me, his brothers, his mom, his dad, telling me about my lineage. But it's so weird when I look back. I'm like, why did he buy me beer? Mm-hmm. Even if I said I liked beer when I was 15.
Gotta be the cool dad.
Gotta be the cool dad. So and this carries on. And I've read a lot about this, but when I was 17, I went on a trip to Disneyland with a friend for spring break. And it's me and her. I'm 17, she's 18. And right when we get to the Motel 6 in Anaheim, we meet these guys who have a shoebox of cocaine. And I thought, I'd never do cocaine. But here I am, 17, and they give me some lines, and I snort them. And I feel the best I've ever felt in my whole life.
Yeah.
So I get home, and to my dad, I did cocaine. And he's like, Melissa, if you're going to do cocaine, you need to ask me for it. I can get you the good stuff.
Oh, my gosh.
And I'm like, okay. And so then him and I go on a long journey of cocaine and meth, and me selling it for him, and lots of debacles, and, not a healthy father-daughter dynamic. Yeah. And there's one more story where I was 18 and I got a job at a strip club because everyone was doing it. And I tell my dad, and he's proud of me. He's like, wow, awesome. Are you going to do that? Are you going to do that? And it's very sexually inappropriate, like this sleazy, icky relationship. And so when I look back, I'm like, he's passed now. When I look back, I think, gosh, that wasn't okay for a 15-year-old and a father. But he didn't know how to be a father.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know how to be a daughter, really. And it was really messy, really messy.
Well, and that's, again, it's so hard when you're like, oh, someone doesn't know how to be a father, but you're a kid. Right. It's, we had my friend Becky Harbine on the podcast, and we grew up together in the Tri-Cities, and, sort of gotten to know each other again. And she recounted, we were just talking about like younger and the abuses, big and small, that you go through as a girl as well. And she's done deep trauma work, and which I find so amazing and fascinating, like good information. And she came over one day to my house, and I was explaining some of the behavior or approach of my stepdad. And she's like, "You've experienced trauma." And I was like, "What?" She's like, "That's not okay." And I hadn't thought about it, nothing like, it doesn't really matter, but like nothing extreme, but just to sexualize a girl, I'd say anybody below 18 or talk to you like you're a woman, right? Like, or is the thing as well. Inappropriate. Like, why would you say, again, sexualizing young girls, highly breaking, you're not like, you're shoved into a state that you're not old enough to even, you're not that, right? Like, but again, enduring and coping, if you're, probably the wrong word, but like, you get smart quick, like you get smart quick about like how to handle or deflect attention, or relegate it, like you've mentioned, or say it's okay, because if you say it's not okay, there might not be a solution, and you're in the family now, it's awkward and awful or whatever. And I brought up something, and that played out in my family later. When I was in college, I shared something with my mom, and it was a shocking thing. And it was a pretty classic experience of like, she never spoke to me about it. I know she had a conversation with him, but she never spoke to me about it. And she remained with him. Like, I don't, whatever, but I don't know what those conversations were. but that's so classic. I'm like, what if I had actually said something then? Like, would I be abandoned in the family while I'm younger? Like, and so anyways, just all the touches on survival mechanisms. And again, that goes somewhere, right? And it plays out in relationships, I bet you would say, right? Like plays out in your interactions or lack of knowing how to have boundaries, how to say no, and in all the ways to say no, not just sexually, but like my right to state my thought.
Oh yeah.
My opinion, and it's not up for debate kind of thing.
Right.
Well, I'm still working on that.
Me too. Me too.
Funny enough,
well, if you have bad parenting, it's like that's even harder because you don't learn about boundaries from the adults in your life as a kid, and then you want to be accepted, so you're saying yes to all these like crazy things that are really unhealthy.
Yeah. I'd venture to say that everyone has had a trauma. I think that's what's so interesting about the ACEs, like taking that quiz and finding out like where you are on that spectrum.
Yeah.
Because it names the 10 things, and some of those things you might think, well, yeah, that happened to me, but I wouldn't have thought about that as a traumatic event happening in my life, because there's so many more worse people that have had so many bad things happen to them. I even didn't want to compare, the book, The Lost Child, or, there were so many traumatic events in children's lives that I'd read about. I thought, well, so many have had it so much worse. So I would minimize my own. And when we do that, we just we take away all our power, because the power is in healing it, not denying it like our parents want to do, or people in our family, they don't want to look at. I think it's the generational thing, because most families before our generation would kind of sweep everything under the rug, make it look perfect on the outside.
Yeah.
And I had a therapist once say to me, it's harder for kids that grow up in a home where everything's perfect on the outside, but there's so much going on the inside that's dysfunctional.
Oh yeah.
And me growing up, it was clearly dysfunctional. The apartments, the junky cars, the fighting, the police coming, all of it was clearly dysfunctional. But she said, sometimes that's easier, because you're not having to try to pretend it's something it's not.
Right.
So I think that's interesting.
Yeah, because if you say it's not, especially at that age, it feels like there's nothing you can do. I mean, and again, you aren't born to go be like, you know what I'll be handling at 12? Yeah, and I'll be all equipped for it. Like, you know what I mean? Navigating, making decisions, getting help, who to call, like navigate a system. No, none of that.
Have you heard them say, you just need one person in your life that believes in you or nurtures you. And that can take away the adverse situations that you've been in. So for me, I attribute that to like my grandparents. I had two aunts that took care of me and that were normal. They just had jobs, and they had homes, and they had husbands, and they had children, and they were funny, and they weren't that darkness that I lived in. Yeah. And so getting to see my aunts and my grandparents and get away from what I lived in, I think that was my saving grace. Like, I think that was what showed me it doesn't have to be like this. I don't have to be who my mom is. 'Cause she embarrassed me. Having an alcoholic for a parent is so embarrassing. They don't show up to anything. They don't help you. My mom was like, you can never go to college. You can't get braces. You can't do, you need to get a job. It was like hard knocks, so I just didn't aspire to be anything. I thought, well, what's the point in trying in school if I can't go to college? It was very demeaning. And then it takes something maybe inherently, just in my heart that was like, no, I can do those things, and I will do those things. And, I want a different life, and I will break this cycle. And, I've always felt like I needed to share this story. I didn't know when, I didn't know how. But I've just been kind of writing it, and the memories are vivid. They're clear as day. Yeah. That I write about.
I hope, because I do think it's important to say, I hope you know how awesome you are, that you were strong. Like, I hope you give yourself daily pats on the back.
Thank you.
Yeah, because that is all you all day.
Thank you. No, I struggle. I mean, I struggle with insecurity, and I have situations where I still have that fear of authority figures working with, a boss, and I shrink and,
oh my God. Yeah.
oh gosh, so what am I doing wrong? What should I have said? I'm 44, almost 45, and it's a daily mind game that I
Yes.
have. I still just don't have that inherent sense of worth. And so I'm always self-talking. And,
Yes.
luckily I've learned tools like I can pray and I can meditate and I can breathe and I can tell myself affirmations and mantras. And gosh, it's a daily struggle. And I think, how do normal people live? Like, do they just go and?
Well, I don't think there are normal people. Yeah, exactly. There are no normal people.
Normal is definitely a myth. Yeah.
And that's what I'm learning. It's like, God, it seemed like everyone else had it together. Everyone else had the script. Nope.
No. And you know what's funny is when you mention like at work, like whatever, I mean, that is a lot of the coaching I do is with people in corporate jobs. And I'm talking in people I know who work in well-known places, you know what I mean? Who on the one hand, you could say like, wow, look at you, you're amazing. You got a job there. Cause that happens a lot. Like, wow, look what you work at Facebook or you work at Microsoft or you work at blah, blah, blah. There's a whole story of, image around that or genius or whatever. But a lot of people that I talk to and coach within jobs like these, same thing. Like we talk a lot about how you get lost, completely your authentic self gets lost within a work culture. But then you're saying like how you respond to the people you work with, your boss and all that often like fear-based, like in fear. Yeah. And so we talk about, and that's a walk I've also done. Like I love talking about this stuff because I think it's all happening a lot. Right. Brene Brown has a great book about Dare to Lead and says so many things about like work cultures and things like that. And I always tell people, I'm like, at some point you have to make a decision internally to figure out what it means to be your authentic self and live from there. And then you got to kind of take a look at the basis for these thoughts and fears, and I think a lot of times people are like, if we bottom lined any of these scenarios, you're afraid of getting fired.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like really, that's the bottom line. So like I went into my last job at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. I mean, for a lot of people, that's like holy grail. Wow. In nonprofit. And I remember going in just to learn personal lessons, or it was a big part of in my mind what I was doing. And one of the first things I promised myself was like willing to be fired. like I need to be willing to be fired to actually change and figure this out and then function differently. Because there's so, I mean, depending on the culture, there's so much game playing. There's so much ideology that you are told is the truth, right? Or this is what's important, or you need to function this way. I mean, and it could be down to the individual who has their own bag of things or the work culture. It's just huge. It can be huge. But how empowering it must be to challenge that and side with yourself.
Yeah.
When you're sharing, this is what I'm thinking: imposter syndrome.
Oh my God, yes.
It's such a huge
everywhere.
Word.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I have that. Who are you to tell your story? And I'm in the process of sending query letters out, and I have to sell myself. And somehow I'm going to have to overcome this fear that I'm not good enough and that my story's not good enough and people are going to be bored by reading it. And, that's a daily struggle that I just have to believe that I'm being led and one foot in front of the other, kind of staying on that straight and narrow path is what I kind of feel like, and not letting myself be derailed because my own brain will sell myself short and I'll sabotage myself and say, you didn't need to really publish. You wrote the book. That's good. You don't really need to publish it. That's fine. And that's what my brain says, or who would want it? Or why are you going through all this work when no one's going to want it?
Yeah.
And that's a day. I mean, that was today. That was this morning, me trying to overcome my own fears. And I just have been, I downloaded this app called the Tapping Solution.
Yes. Yeah.
where
Yeah.
you do the tapping.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yes,
telling
dude.
myself, I am worthy. I deserve to, my book is good. I have a story to share, and I'm doing it, and it feels so good.
Isn't
It's
it
so
amazing?
empowering. Yes. I don't know what
Yes.
it is with the tapping.
It's points on your body. They're not like acupressure points, but they release not dopamine and things like that, but it helps narrow you down. Also, the mantra of like saying it to yourself rearranges things as well.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
So
what works
these are
for
all
me.
like,
It's just like getting it in your
Yeah.
head and like confirming like that you're thinking the right things.
Yeah.
And you got to be positive. Like that does really help.
It really does. We'll put a link into tapping. There's a great book.
Yeah.
I have a book on that as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what, Melissa, though, I was thinking too, I was like, call me. I'm going to give you my phone number because
Okay.
I love all day, every day to be like, hell yeah, you're going to write that book.
Okay.
And here's 10 reasons why.
We need cheerleaders, and we just, but no one would know if we're too afraid to say, I'm scared. I'm really being vulnerable. I'm putting myself out there. Mm-hmm. What if nobody likes me? What if my story's not, if I don't say it, I can't deal with it. And if I don't share it with people, then no one can help me and give me that positive feedback. Just like writing, if I would have never shared that first article and gotten, let's say everyone would have said, God, you had a horrible life. And why don't you go crawl under a rock? That didn't happen. That's what I thought would happen.
Yeah.
So I shared vulnerably. People were receptive. I felt loved and nurtured, and then I could stand taller. And I noticed even after sharing that article the next day, I walked around and I could look people in the eye. Mm-hmm. And I let go of like 100 pounds of shame that I'd been carrying around, like a huge backpack of shame, just by telling someone the truth. The truth. Yeah. And what you're saying about authenticity. Share your truth.
And we as humans need to connect, right? Like we isolate, and I don't know if I could maybe it's America too, but it's just like we isolate. Individualism too goes to the extreme where you just isolate and you don't want to burden somebody with your story. It becomes like all these reasons why you don't come out of, you don't connect with somebody else to share. And you have a lot of sharing experiences, right, out of necessity and healthy and all that stuff. But I was also thinking as you were talking too, and this is something I harp on a lot, is I feel like everyone should know that they're of value and that there is a truth to live by that would just game change a lot of the insecurities. If you really believed that the truth is the truth, and I really say truth heavy, like because we all live by some truth, right? Good or bad.
Yep. Capital T, truth. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. It's like if you really lived by the truth that is, you're automatically of value when you're born. You know what I mean? You're here for a reason when you're born. Like these are truths. Yeah. Then I believe like a lot of the other stuff that is thrust upon you, through your life growing up or people or surroundings or whatever would fall away if you're like, well, that's not the truth.
Yes.
Because we get a lot of truths thrust on us or, somebody's reaction or their own, whatever, like as if it was truth. And then we think it's like, is that true? Oh, and then you start to morph or whatever. And you get dislodged from like your authentic center. Like, no, that is not true. That's that person's projection. Remember what truth is. Or what your truth is, and that it's real, and I think that helps ground it into people when you look at things as real, like that's truth, as steady ground to stand on, as opposed to like, well, that's a nice thought. I really wish I could get that in my body, but I can't,
yeah.
Because don't you think you could read a lot of great knowledge, you could be fed a lot of great speeches and all that, but that doesn't mean it sinks in. Right.
And don't you think truth is different for so many people? Like I would love to go to work and spout off and say, I'm sober and I do this and I share my emotions, and people there aren't willing to jump on this train yet.
Depends what your job
is.
Share.
Yeah. Mine personally in the Upper Crust, Minnesota, like I'm 30 minutes north of the city. It's pretty urban. It's like, or should I say not urban? It's becoming more urban. It's more, people that maybe had their ancestors grew up on farms, and it's kind of small town, still that mentality. And, I'm vegan and I don't drink. And I'm a very much a minority at work. And people are still talking about, we're going to go out for drinks Friday. Do you want to come? And I'm saying,
yeah.
So just the other day, I had to say to someone, I think I've told you, and I share about it all the time, but did you know I'm a recovering alcoholic? And I said, I don't drink pop. I'm not going to sit at happy hour with you guys. Like, I can't eat anything on the menu. Just let's not, because I appreciate you asking me, but every time you ask me and I decline, I feel rude. So this is the reason. This is my truth. This is, I had said I'm a sober person before, but to other people that are in recovery, sober could mean by choice.
Right.
Like I'm choosing not to drink. No, I am a recovering alcoholic. I needed to say the word alcoholic. And this was just this week that I had to talk to this person because it would catch me off guard every time I was asked to go to happy hour. I'd be like, I feel like you should know that I don't want to go to happy hour, but they don't. Yeah. They don't. So I do, I eat the way I eat, and I'm sober, and I share my articles. But most of the people, let's say, here's my core group, and we're all kind of doing the same thing. But then here's my people out here that are just coworkers, acquaintances, my in-laws, people that I've met here in Minnesota. No way. Like, I am so far off, and those are the people that I would let stop me from doing, igniting my dream to write a book, because they're going to think I'm weird. Or, they're going to think I'm different. And I really don't want to be different. I want to blend.
Yeah. Really,
so maybe I should have
dreams. You're going to inspire them to maybe understand and spread that with other people. Like, oh, I actually have a friend who I think is an alcoholic. Maybe I should talk to them.
And that's what I hope. You hope. And you just stay in your truth. And when I got sober, I was 21. And none of my 21-year-old friends stopped drinking. But guess what? Here they are. They're all trickling in in their 40s.
Yeah.
And I'm here. I'm here for it. Like, I'm like, okay, I can help you. Like, this is what we do, and this is how it's done. But, for 10 years, I was really lonely in sobriety, like, because all my friends were out at the bars, and at 21, I was done. And thank God, because I think I know I wouldn't be here.
Right.
Just the way I was going, the trajectory of my life was like, down, 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 down. Yeah. And then getting pregnant at 8 months sober was a gift. Like that, me thinking, okay, I can't drink, I'm pregnant. I don't want to be an alcoholic mom. I don't want to be a hungover mom. I don't want to be the mom I was. And genetically, I'm screwed. If I drink, I just know that I'll be my mom. And so my mom saved me in that aspect. My son saved me in that aspect. And, anytime I ever had a fleeting thought of like, I should drink, it was like that reminder.
Yeah.
So
I love that you say your mom helped you in that aspect. Like,
it can come full circle with her, Yeah. And she had a boyfriend from the time I was 6 years old till 25 years after. So I was an adult and out of the house. And they just had this codependent, abusive. He died at 49. She died at 55. My dad died at 59. Like, I'm like, do I want that life where you just abuse your body so much that you die? And after having lived, this dark, alcoholic, addictive life, and they're thinking, well, we drink because it makes us happy. We do drugs. We want to live the way we want to live. Like, they have that mentality, but it's like, you could have such a life of freedom,
right?
If you can just put down those addictions, but they too don't want to deal with their demons,
right?
They were abused.
They're self-medicating. It just does not the right medication for the problem.
Yeah.
This is a thing like that. And this is just me personally, like, it always sounds like, oh yeah, we're just drinking, we're doing whatever. I'm like, you are not talking about the hangover. You're not talking about the panic and the what's
paranoia.
Happening the next. Yeah. And I'm like, how are you even surviving that?
Right.
Like how, like, well, and you're not surviving it. You know what I mean? Like you can't, if you're in a panic state, you can't get a job. You know what I mean? Like that mental state to me is terrifying.
It's not a way to live.
No, because you can't really function. So, I mean, in a lot of the, I've definitely gone down the rabbit hole of like sobriety books and recovery books and things like that. And lately I was telling Ryan, I've, there's a lot of sober, curious books as well.
Yes.
And there's the one like Quit Like a Woman,
Yes.
which Holly Whitaker, right?
Yeah, I haven't read it, but yes.
I just really, I like that one. There's many that I've liked. I actually have a really small one that's perfect in so many ways, just because her story is like, yeah, there it is, like, but I love that Holly talks about all of it. Like, let's look at what alcohol is. And let's talk about like, play that story all the way out, and what it's doing to your body, biologically, right? And what it is. And then, cause I was starting to hear the stories of like, oh, I wake up at 3 a.m. with the panic and whatever. I'm like, nobody talks about that.
Nobody.
No.
Yeah. I'm reading one of the other ones. It's The Unexpected Joy of Being Sober.
Yes.
And that's Catherine Gray. I'm halfway through that. And then there was another popular one, We Are the Luckiest.
Yes.
So, and then Christy Cotier.
Yes.
She's a Seattle person.
Yep.
So I've read a few, and I love that sobriety is something we can talk about, because think about the name Alcoholics Anonymous. Anonymous means don't tell anyone.
Right.
You go into the room, Bob over here would not want his boss to know that you saw him at an AA meeting, because it was shame. It was I failed at drinking. I should sit here and say I'm an alcoholic and be ashamed and cower. But then people found this fellowship and they could share openly, and they found, commonalities, and they were living this great life. But it was still kind of a secret community or society, back in I think it was from the 30s. It's been around a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
But now on Instagram, every other day, sober Instagram pages, new to Instagram. It's, I don't want to say trendy.
Yeah.
But it's becoming to a place where you didn't have to hit bottom. You didn't have to lose your marriage. You didn't have to get a DUI. You didn't lose your kids. You didn't lose your car. You're just realizing that alcohol isn't working for me.
Right.
Kind of like back in the day with cigarettes. Everyone smoked.
Right.
Who didn't smoke?
Right.
But then we realized cigarettes aren't good for us, and people quit smoking, and now cigarettes are frowned upon. But that took a long time.
Yeah.
And I think alcohol is kind of coming that same way.
It's difficult because it's so much more culturally ingrained than maybe cigarette smoking was. It's like, we've been drinking forever, alcohol, at least. And now it's just like,
and you can have wine with dinner.
Right. Yeah. It's socially acceptable.
And then that wine, but then the wine turns into a bottle, and then the mommy wine culture is getting a lot of flack.
Oh my God.
Well, I hate that. But it's so now people are questioning it.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute.
Well,
yeah.
I love the thing you said about I failed at drinking. Like, I thought that was a really cool statement, as if you should have been good at it. Like you're
good
failed
at it. You wouldn't have to stop. Yeah.
Like, drinking's here to stay. You're out because you failed at drinking. It's sort of like, is drinking the one I gotta, placate?
Yeah.
But also, what I love about these books or the conversation is that it broadens the story spectrum, right? Because there's lots of people who have fallen into the trap of alcohol abuse, and maybe they're not. I mean, the discussion about whether or not you're alcoholic or not, or what that all means. But even in just listening to the stories, I think it's enlightening for people to hear all the how you could lead into that, how that could happen. Because I think some people wake up and go, how'd this happen? How did I get here? And, and there's just so many things, right? Like I've mentioned that starting all through band years, like I never sought alcohol. I mean, I give the worst breakup or whatever, but I never went, oh my God, I got to get to a bar. Never. Didn't even cross my mind. But I also felt really good about myself, and I was doing my thing, which was very authentic to myself. Now, hit 38 and it's like a midlife crisis, music I'm not like selling millions of records. And it's sort of like, now what? A real crisis is going on. And wine got popular and wine bars. So they curated it in a way that was perfect timing for me.
Yeah.
And it's delicious.
Upscale alcoholism, you know.
Oh yeah. Like someplace for me to go in this depressed state that is an instant vacation. So many psych things played into like why it worked for me or why I started stepping into utilization. And at some point I was like, and then I had my son at 41.
Okay.
And you know, you talked about like 8 months pregnant. Like I was 3 months pregnant when I got married. I'd had the test for Down syndrome, and I don't know. Obviously, I'd never like thought about having a kid, but it was sort of because I was playing shows. I was pregnant. I go get the test. I'm bleeding a lot, like the weekend before we get married. And so, and then I get married, you know what I mean? Just sort of like chop, chop, chop. And my husband always, and I joke, we're like, we met in June of 2006. We got engaged in 2007. We were pregnant in 2007. We got married in 2007. Boom, we had a baby. And I was like, oh my God. So I think I had led a real individual life up until about 41, right? I was not prepared and nobody gave me a book on motherhood and marriage. And it all hit at one time. Hey, and by the way, you're no longer like this popular musician and you're working a corporate job that's pretty much crushing your soul.
Oh my gosh.
And you got no time and I think this is a story for a lot of women. Like you got no time, you're exhausted on a level that no one told you about. And the quickest vacation is a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I didn't realize that. I mean, I think I always thought, well, these hangovers are bad. This is not really a good thing. But it was 10 years or longer till I was like, wow, I'm thinking about wine. I'm figuring out where I can go to go get it. It's the only place where because I have become untethered from, I'm certainly not handling or taking care of like, how about we go figure out where you are? Like, where's that Carrie who was doing, music? Where you've lost yourself? And I just didn't. And then my mom passed. And so it was, life does this. I think it's all very purposeful. Because we're having this conversation, this will be very purposeful. But anyways, long story short, I think there's a lot of stories like this that aren't told to us about that could lead to alcohol abuse, right? And that you start utilizing. I mean, when you're abusing it, you're utilizing, like you're planning, you're accommodating, you're pre-planning how you're going to handle the hangover. Like that's all you're in.
Yeah, when you get the bottle of Gatorade with you at the same time, you're like, I'm gonna be hydrated this time. You're like,
and all
strategy.
Yeah, totally.
So many strategies.
So many strategies. Yeah, I think that's important to say out loud too. Like, all the things that people do, from ibuprofen to what is it? There's all to Xanax to. CBD to, I'm trying to list all mine, like I guess over the years, but even like Robitussin. Oh, I'll do some Robitussin so I can go to sleep and sleep through the 3 o'clock hour so that I'm not like, anyways.
Well, so I don't know if a lot of people know this, but the 3 characteristics of alcoholism, the first one's denial. Everyone knows that. Like you'll deny it. No one ever is usually going to say, yep, sign me up. I want a life of sobriety, unless a consequence happens. So this revelation is new. So denial, and then justification and rationalization. So we justify it. Well, I deserve it. I had a hard day at work. I went through this whirlwind. I've got these kids, so if you know that about alcoholism, how it sneaks up on you, and it's progressive. People would actually say it's a disease, it's an illness, it's progressive. It doesn't stop. So I could go back to drinking tomorrow and they would say that I would be right back where I was at 21. So it's tricky. Yeah. And your mind tricks you, so we're being sold, the commercials and the advertisements and wine. It's, that's why I wrote just recently, I don't walk down liquor store aisles. I don't walk down the wine aisle because even with 23 years sober, I feel like I could see a label that was eye-catching. I'm a label person.
Yes.
And go, that looks good. Let me stop and peruse, the wine aisle. And this actually did happen to me last week. We were in Colorado and we're in a co-op and I looked they had kombucha, hard kombucha. And I love drinking kombucha. That's like my treat once in a while. and not the alcoholic-y one.
Mm-hmm.
But this one was hard kombucha. And I was like, and I stopped for way too long looking at that.
Totally,
and then they had coconut water with alcohol. And I'm thinking, well, that sounds healthy, you know?
God.
And I'm like, get out of here.
Sounds dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, you know, they're smart.
Mm-hmm.
And we can easily be manipulated by advertising and the promise of what, you know, getting out of yourself, feeling happy, feeling vivacious, feeling beautiful, feeling skinny, feeling all those things that we want to feel free.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the truth is, alcohol's a empty promise, right? It's not going to give us any of those things. But, and, you know, I don't want to say sobriety is great. It's, you know, you feel great 100% of the time, all the time, but you don't, that mental obsession that alcoholics have, or that people that drink have, where, well, how many have I had? Is it 5 yet? Can I drink that? Did she drink she left some wine in her glass. Oh, why is she, you know, when's the waitress coming back to fill this? Like, it is a mind screw. Like, it's so hard to live with those thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Do you, you know, at the beginning of this, one of the things you wrote was about triggers. And I really wanted to ask about that because I think it's unusual. I think people would be surprised and should be very aware of maybe what someone's particular trigger. It's not so obvious. Like, I will have times where I have something great happen, and it triggers a full craving for wine. And I'm trying to understand what that is. Like, is that, I felt the good, and now my brain goes, let's perpetuate the good.
I think so.
I think so, yes. But you wouldn't think that would be a trigger moment. It's not like something rough. I don't know. I don't know what people think is typical, but like, it's not like something rough happened or I had an argument and now I want to drown my sorrows. It'll show up in places where I have particularly had a great day and this feels right and good, but there's a blind spot that I still got to be aware of. That's like, I wish I could describe it. Don't go blind and then sidetrack and go get some Cheetos and wine or something. You know what I mean? Like what? And it just feels insidious a little bit.
And so similar to the story that I told about being invited to happy hour, a couple of Friday nights ago, 2 coworkers were saying, "Oh, where are you going to go tonight? You know, where are you going out to?" And they started talking. And instead of walking away, I stayed glued to that conversation and I was listening to where they were going to go. And then she said, "Oh, you know, have you tried they have the best, I don't know what it was, raspberry cider. Oh, do you like to get the blah, blah, blah?" And my mouth and my glands, I felt like I was salivating. Like, I craved drinking. And I thought, Friday night, that was the best feeling, that adrenaline rush. I'm going to go to the bar. I'm going to see people. I'm going to be drinking. I'm going to be dancing. I'm going to be free. You know, I'm going to be drunk. I'm going to be feeling so good. I started feeling that. And I got out of work, you know, and I came home and I kind of sat in my garage and I messaged a friend. I'm like, I'm having drinking thoughts, you know, and I've been sober 23 years and I haven't had a feeling like that where my mouth and my nose and everything was like wanting alcohol in my body. So I was obviously triggered by hearing, you know, 2 women's conversation about what bar they were going to and what they were going to partake in. And that shocked me.
Do you think in those moments, it's doubly important to remember your authentic thing that you love to do, like really double down on that? Like, for me, it's like, no, remember, Carrie, you love doing music and podcasting and funny projects, you know, like, remember that. Why is that feels, even though those are things, they feel weak. And so I have to double down and be like, no. Remember, you love coaching. You're going to build that business. You're going to do all these things that are really fun and interesting, but they don't weigh as heavy as like a good bottle of wine. I'm like, what the hell is that?
Oh, yeah. I feel like just telling on yourself, like, you know, with a safe person that's like, so, you know, I've committed to sobriety. Maybe it's just for a month. Like, I wanted to do a dry January, let's say, because that's a kind of popular thing now. I committed to staying sober for 30 days, let's say. And this got I triggered and something good happened to me and I want to drink wine, have that person, whether it's you as a coach or, another friend. I have this one person who actually lives in Tacoma that's just like my person. Like she's known me for 20 years. And I just need to tell myself, like, I just wanted to drink. And usually that would be like your sponsor in AA or someone in the AA program, but I'm not as connected as I used to be. So I feel like just that person that's known me the longest is like my go-to. And those thoughts, those other thoughts, I basically just tell her, well, she's my one, having that one person that you can just vent to and throw up on, basically. So they can be your cheerleader. And that's probably just like what you do as a coach. It's like that one person because I wouldn't tell everyone what I'm thinking, but I need to feel safe enough to tell at least one person. My husband's not the person. Yeah. He is not the person. And he doesn't know how to help in those. He just doesn't. And so I've learned, it has to be a person that listens and, isn't trying to fix it, but they're holding space. Right. And they're just there to take it. And usually they don't even have to say anything. I feel better just by venting. It's like, okay, I got it. I got it out. I feel better. I'm moving on.
Yeah.
And you're right. It does matter who the person is, like what, they can understand or hold space the way you need it. Cause like my husband loves me, but he's like, well, just stop drinking. You know what I mean? And for him, that's really true. But I was like, oh, that's, like,
yeah, you want to help.
Okay, you're not going to help me.
Yeah. A funny story about my husband, I would be like, okay, I want to share this article. Will you read it first and look at it? And he was the most critical person of my writing. And he would, well, this doesn't make sense. And this and this and this. And I had to stop going to him because he loves me. He supports me. Now he's like, great job. I'm proud of you. He'll leave comments every once in a while so I know he's there, but he's not he's not my audience. He's not who I'm writing to. Yeah. He doesn't get it. He thinks it's way too much to be putting out into the world. He doesn't always like the way I speak in my writing, cause he reads different genres of books. So instead of taking it personally, which I did at first I kind of did I'll show you. Like I kind of put a spin on it and was like, I have this one person supporting me and I'm just going to listen to her and I'm just going to keep going and let her be my cheerleader. And I appreciate your constructive criticism, but I'm way too sensitive to take it. And this is such a huge step for me putting myself out there. I really need someone that's just positive and supportive and lie to me if you want to. No, I expect people to tell me the truth, but really just I need an encourager. I'm this big and I need someone to see me as, larger,
And that's fair. Knowing what you need, that's huge. And then asking for it or stating it. Yeah. That's really big. Yeah.
It's such a vulnerable position to be in, don't you think, to put yourself out there, even as a coach or even as a musician or as an author, podcaster, like, those questions probably pop up like, who am I to do this? Or who will listen? Or who will, come to me? And what do I have to offer? And so just not selling ourselves short, realizing what we said, like we are worth it. We do have value.
My gosh. Seriously, because I really believe that one, it's a communal effort here on planet Earth. And we need to hear other people's stories because isolated alone, you just got your story or you talking in your head, right? And that doesn't really work. But that everyone's here for a purpose. Like it's what's supposed to happen. Like this is the truth. This is how things should be. And everyone's on their own little road, doing their work, whatever they're called to do. And that's all, right? It doesn't even have to be this grandiose thing of like, I'm writing music or you know what I mean? Because then it gets to be, I don't think then it becomes like, oh, you're a special person and you do a special thing. And it's like, no. Everybody's got something. Even if it's you're great in your family and you raise great kids, everything has a ripple effect. Whatever that is authentically for someone and only that person can answer it.
And I'd say Brene Brown is like such a good person for that. And, any of her books inspire me to just be more vulnerable and to realize that we all have shame. We all have something inside of us that tells us, we're not good enough, and to figure what that is out and release it, because we shouldn't have to carry that around. It's not the truth. It's just something that we learned as a child or was told to us or we told ourselves, and it doesn't serve us. It doesn't serve us.
And I sort of look at too, I guess I get kind of extreme too. I'm like, if you have this one life, like, don't you want to get to whatever your authentic center is and follow that path?
I think COVID really lit a fire under me, because I had time. And then it was like, people are dying. And it's like, okay, well, if I want to do this, I need to do it now. And that's unfortunate that COVID had to come and make all of us, really, but there is such a benefit to it. Like it came, and so many people will say, I don't want things to go back to normal. I like how things slowed down, and I already feel that things are going back to normal. And I'm like, feel that, my adrenal glands and the anxiety, and like, oh gosh, I really liked that slower pace of life last March and April and June, May and June. It was like, we couldn't go anywhere. And there was like peace and solace in that, because we go and go and go and
go.
Like
a lovely forced break for everyone.
Even
though there
and then
was
we're
all
all
this
at the
negative
state
stuff.
parks. We're all at the state parks. I took up cross country skiing. Like I'm like living a great life because I was forced to.
Yeah,
and then I start riding.
Like so much more now, and I appreciate that. It's like, but part of me also is annoyed because I'm like, there's so many people at the park.
I know, it's so weird. We checked out every state park, but just, and I feel like there's some camaraderie in that we were all kind of, forced to do that together. But don't you miss hugs and handshakes and not being masked? And so there's a lot that I hope will go back to normal as far as that. Like I would love to hug someone or just even shake someone's hand, and you don't think that you don't do that anymore. And I had my mask off at work yesterday, and someone's like, you look so weird, like different. Like I haven't seen you. So I don't like that at all. Our smiles and our voice and it's like so muffled. And so I hope that can go back to normal soon.
For sure.
Yeah. I miss like writing and recording and playing shows, being able to get together with a band, like, and definitely shows in terms of like self-expression. And for the folks coming to shows, right? Like that's such a huge heart thing. But I feel like, like what you're saying, for some people, there's a large populace where this really was an opportunity that probably had been needed for a long time. If you go really metaphysical, people were like, oh no, this is a purposeful like ascension moment of like, you either stop and sort your shit out or you don't. But I was one of those people. I was like, oh, I don't have to commute. I can be at home. I needed space to solidify, like, what are you going to do? But also in a lot of the things I share is about, regardless of where we return to, like just living at a slower pace allows for space. And, in order to feel yourself again, hear, listen, notice, and which is all required in order to make authentic decisions for yourself to get on your path, right? Or whatever that is. You can't do that when you're go or commuting 3 hours a day. You're just numb.
Yep.
Totally. And just going for walks more outside, and doing more yoga, and just coming to a quiet place within, really, which is the root of what we're trying to do. But I was definitely pulled too many directions. And again, like I said, I feel like I'm being pulled again. So I now have to make the effort to say, wait a minute.
Got to keep everybody else to stay slowed down. It's like, it'll be an effort, but we got to kind of remind everyone, like, there's a good side to this.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think the only bastion currently, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, as I still have to watch my participation in social media. Like there's the sharing and some creative things, which I like, that's great. But there's still the pitfall of scrolling and then kind of getting hooked into whatever conversations are going on out there which to me take me to a smaller place. I mean, some of the things people are talking about, I'm glad they're talking about, but you can go to a small place in your mind and then find yourself ruminating and be like, what? Oh my God, why are you living over here? You got things to do. And remember, your vision was much bigger than being pissed about this thing over here.
Don't you find, I have had a hard time finishing a book since COVID. Like I buy books all the time, but scrolling is so much easier. It's like almost all my brain can handle, but I also get lost in it, and it's a habit, and my thumb just keeps
oh my God.
You're not alone in that. Like I actually haven't read a single book during COVID.
I have a stack.
Yeah.
And I haven't finished one. Yeah. But it's like self-help, and I have like Think Like a Monk and all these books to inspire myself. But I just haven't been able to go deep in that aspect. And I haven't been able to take in more of what other people are saying. It's just like my brain feels heavy, and my thoughts are busy. And so it's hard to read what other people are saying for me right now.
Yeah.
Except in little bits. Like I'll read a couple pages. I want something funny and lighthearted, and that's what I need to look for.
I'm looking for babies and animals. That's
there you go.
Show me cute kittens. Let's keep it simple.
The dodo. I'll watch the dodo and a baby laughing any day. Like,
I mean, I can't even make it through a whole movie sometimes. I'm like, oh, it's an hour and a half. It's too much. It's like, give me that TikTok.
Yeah, we're kind of just at our threshold probably.
Yeah.
And you got to really, I think, watch it with like, again, you've got so much time in a day. How are you utilizing your time, which then affects like what you're doing with your life. You know what I mean? Like, I wish I could turn my camera around and be like the stacks of books or whatever. It's you have to like retrain yourself because the rest creates such short attention span, and there's so much content. That's the other thing.
We're bombarded by content every day.
Yeah, you'll never get through it all. And it's have you watched that movie, the
Social Dilemma?
Thank you. Yeah, Social Dilemma.
I haven't. I don't have Netflix,
my God.
So I haven't watched it.
Oh my God.
And I'm kind of scared to watch it because I'm so guilty.
Well, it's interesting to watch. You'll be like, if you watch it, then you go back to like how you function on social media. You'll be like, I'm getting fed that. You know what I mean? Like, So now for you, because you have a presence on Instagram or Facebook for coaching, so some of it's work. And for me, I'm sharing a lot of my articles, and I'm reading other articles and building community in the writing, atmosphere. So I attribute, these are technically work hours, and I enjoy it so much. Yeah. But then, hours other than that, or I'm getting lost. I'm definitely getting lost. I always have to measure. I will check in with myself, and I always have to measure my participation with my gut. You know what I mean? If my gut says, yes, I feel like being creative, I'm going to do a weird reel. Yes. Okay. Yes to that. If I actually want to share something, so I'm really checking my truth. If my gut says like, I really want to make this statement, then yes. But if I think I just have to fill up a post in order to be on social media to be seen, I'm like, that's not true. And you're going to drain the shit out of yourself. And you can feel that in your gut. I constantly doing gut checks, constant, because you have all the answers. Yeah. I'd be like, do you really give a shit about that? Like, no, don't do it.
Does anyone really want to see this plate of my vegan food? No, the answer is always no. Nobody does, but I still share it.
I mean, but as long as this really looks good, I might want to see it.
So, but if one person gives me a heart or a like, and that's what I have to ask myself, like, am I lonely? Am I feeling, a lack? Like, am I just wanting am I checking like how many likes did I get? How many hearts did I get on that article? Oh, that article's not doing very well. I got to, and I'm starting to get kind of neurotic or competitive with myself, and it's not fun anymore. It's like, but getting a connection is what I'm craving. So when someone likes it and they comment, then I feel like, yay, we've opened a door, and then I get to talk back with them, and there's dialogue, and we're heart connecting. And I do live for that. Yeah. But it's time.
It is. But those moments are like, oh, this is actually really something. I just want things to be something, like really something. And And so, and it sounds like, your gut, like everything you just said there, that's your gut. And your gut's going like, what are we doing here? Like, okay. And then you got to just like be honest about it. And some of that, like, especially when you're doing a project or a business online, you can get really caught up in like, I have to do this and doing this will actually get me results, which is not true. And then you end up going, well, wow, what a farce. Like there's nothing worse than that kind of joke on yourself. Like you burnt the crap out of yourself and you're, like at the same place you were, or it didn't matter at all. And I don't want that. Like, I don't want that so bad that I'll be like, F it.
And I never want to portray myself as like, because I do feel jealous of people on social media when they're in Hawaii or the Bahamas or something. And I, if I want people to be able to share their trips and their good things happening in their life, but I don't want to be the person that's like bragging. My husband calls it brag book, where it's like, look at me, look at me, look at me. And so it's like, what is my intention?
Yeah.
What do I want to gain from this? Am I just sharing, a good thing that's happened to me because I'm happy and I'm celebrating, or do I want people to like it? Do I want people to see how good I'm doing? And that's it's tricky. It's like a fine line, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Only you know that answer, and you do know the answer. If you're honest about it, if you check your gut, I'm like, you got that answer. And then you just got to follow that. Big deal. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I say big deal, but so that I make it not a big deal. But, yay, at least there's a compass, right? Like,
that's true.
I do have a compass. I do know it's real. Thank goodness, right? Like,
yeah, we need to check in with ourselves more, don't you think?
Oh my
Instead
gosh.
of checking in with the peanut gallery that don't care.
Never. Yeah,
they
never.
don't have our invested interest.
Yeah, well, I say to people coaching all the time, I was just like, look, you're responsible for you, because I will guarantee when it comes down to it, a large portion of this audience is not going to be there for you when you need them. And not because I'm cynical, but I was like, I just say often, I'm like, you have all the answers on the inside. And you are responsible for you. You are the compass, period. Like you can have wonderful friends who are smart, who contribute, and that is helpful. I'm not saying isolate, but I think it's imperative to like really get to know yourself that way and understand that so that you can make decisions and navigate and build things and love your life. And yay, that actually your gut's there and just waiting for you to hear it, right? Like, well, maybe one day she'll notice we're down here and she'll listen to us. You know what I mean? And then I think that's also how you get on the right track, because and then great things can happen, but it's a different kind of game, right? It's a long game, and our society doesn't do that.
Do you ever watch Tabitha Brown?
No, who's that?
Okay, so she's a vegan person that's on Instagram, and she makes these videos. And people have said like, no, your accent's from North Carolina. You have this big afro. Like you need to tone it down. And she's so authentic. She makes these recipes and she talks and I just love her.
Right.
And when she kind of made a message about, no, this is me. I'm not toning it down for anybody. It took me way too long to get to this place where I am letting my hair out. I'm not hiding my accent. I'm not changing for who you want me to be. I'm myself. And then she's getting like movie deals, and she's come from like nothing to like huge select. Like once you see her, you may have like, she's on magazine. Like she's come far in the last few years.
I'll go find her.
But yeah, just be who you are. That's the premise, right?
I mean, people we get desperate, right? Like all the things we've talked about today, belonging, being loved, and people, I think, take the short route, right? It's like, oh, I just have all the things and I wear all that, and I look this certain way, then I'll have it. And then no, you don't. You won't have it.
Yeah. That was me wearing the clothes and, have the right bag and have the right car. And I saw a picture of myself in my memories this morning, and it was probably 5 or 6 years ago. And we lived in Redmond, which is a more affluent area. We were barely scraping by. We had a bankruptcy, so much debt. And here is the Amazon and Microsoft and the doctors and the dentists. And I'm teaching at this private school. And I tried to be like those moms, but my background was so much different. Obviously I was, in recovery, but I never shared that with any of those moms. They never got to know the real me. And I saw a picture where we were all together And I just remember how insecure I felt and how different I felt and how I tried to, have conversations that made me sound more intellectual or, like I had gone to college out of high school, which I hadn't. And, now I would just show up. I wouldn't try to be something different. I wouldn't try to impress the lady that was a doctor who didn't care. It wouldn't have mattered to her what car I drove, But to me, it was like, I need to have what they will admire in me. Right. And it was only external. It was only external because I still didn't know how to feel myself internally. Right. I had no idea.
That's huge.
Lots of searching. But seeing that picture was like, wow, you've come into yourself, Yeah. And it took a long time. I feel like, almost 45, but it could have taken it could have taken till I was 80. So I still have a lot of life to live.
That's huge. Living outside of yourself, like looking for answers externally as opposed to internally. That's huge. Do you ever feel like, again, loneliness is a big thing too. And loneliness, I think, comes in a lot of different forms. Like when you're talking, in Minnesota, when you're lonely, you're like, oh, maybe I'll go create a community, or, oh, I can find community here at work, or all of that. It gets harder when you're sort of like, if I was really honest, like, there's a structure here, but I don't think I care about any of it. Or these people are lovely, but they're not my people. Now what?
We're talking about that vibe. Like, I'm looking for people that I vibe with, and I'm not finding it here. Where I like, there's a couple people that I would consider a little more than acquaintances, like friends, but my husband always says, because he's lived in a lot of places, that it takes 5 years to make friends in a new state.
Totally. Especially Minnesota. Holy
we're
hell.
We're on year 3. And so I'm, but I think I'm getting there. It's like the more authentic I am and the more honest I am. And, sharing my articles on Facebook is like, if someone doesn't like where I came from, they're going to know it's all out there. Yeah. So that's been really freeing for me. Like, I don't have to be a secret anymore. Good. Most people, because of the articles, if they've read, whatever's on my Facebook or Instagram, then they know who I am up front. It's out there. So that's freeing for me. Finally, like, it's kind of out here. So I don't have to like say it, 'cause it's a lot to say. Well, my parents died. I was an alcoholic, all of the poor me kind of stuff that I carried around. It's not a poor me story anymore. Right. And my hope is that it's like inspiring and redemption and all the good things that have come out of that darkness, and that's my goal, is to like spread some light and hope and inspire. But it had to come from all that icky stuff. Right. So
it's not
I don't live there anymore.
It's not a poor you story. It's a you story, and it's a powerful story.
Yeah. Thank you. For years, I just shared like my kind of my share was, well, kind of an ignore kind of story.
Sorry to have to tell you.
So I didn't know how to get to the other side of that until that awakening happened.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing I can say is just go all the way through. You can't go around the pain. You have to go through it. You have to trudge, and it's mucky and it's dark and it's scary, and but you literally have to just trudge to get to the other side.
Men. Yep. Yes, exactly. That was some truth. That is the truth. Melissa, I'm really excited for you. I'm really excited about your book. I will get your book. You should do a pre-order. I will pre-order it right now. And I really want to stay in contact.
Absolutely.
That's no joke. That's no joke, sister. Having lived in Minnesota, I was just like, oh yeah, all right.
You get it. You get it. And coming from Seattle to Minnesota is culture shock.
Yes.
And not the city of Minneapolis, but like you're coming from a city and then you're moving into like a suburb. It's a different culture for sure.
Yeah. And starting over where you have to make friends is sometimes something you don't even think about. Like, I didn't realize I'd be in a situation where I got to go make friends, which takes real good friends. The ones that fit takes a long time.
Yeah, it takes time.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing your story with us.
Thank you guys for asking me. It was awesome. I was looking forward to it.